gonna do a bald fade with a 3 on top. So we're always gonna start with the first initial guideline. We're gonna do it straight across at the TPP point and go all the way to the occipital bone region of the head. Notice how all my strokes are very smooth and consistent. Here I'm using an absolute hitter trimmer. This is my preferred clipper. If you want to save some money, use code JT10 at checkout. Again, JT10. Step 2, we're going to use no guard open lever, roughly ½ inch to an inch above our first initial guideline. To give you a reference, make it as thick or the same width as a comb. And we're going to make nice smooth C-stroke motions all the way across to the occipital bone region of the head.
It's another witty piece.
So once finished, you guys can see that it's roughly the same width as a comb. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the cleaner your guidelines are, the cleaner your overall work is going to be. Now using our 3 guard, we're going to go from the front to the back towards the cowlick. So any way or any place that you start on the head, you want to go back towards the cowlick. One nice smooth swipe. You could also take it down in the very beginning. In this case, I chose to do it after I set my first 2 steps or guidelines. Notice how I always have a comb on my opposite side of my hand, which is going to essentially brush all the hair off so there's no lingering hair. What this will do is it will allow you to have a nice clean canvas all the way throughout.
It's another witty piece.
Now that we set our 3 guard on top, we're now going to debulk and begin to blend from the top to the bottom. So I always use a 2 or a 3 guard around the parietal ridge. The parietal ridge is where the head begins to curve towards the top or the apex. So you always want to do a 2.5 to a 3 guard. In this case, we're doing a 2.5 because the following guard after the 3 is the 2. So 2 guard open lever is 2.5. So again, we're going to continue blending and debulking, going smooth through the parietal ridge and up in a C-stroke motion. Notice how I kind of alter the way that I do a C-stroke motion because I want to go in the natural hair pattern. So in this case, I'm going diagonal, and in this case, I'm going the other way, also diagonal. Following that, we're going to use our 1.5 guard. We're going to continue blending from the top to the bottom, debulking the surface area, and also starting to blend out that thick line that you see across his head. So again, notice that I'm going in a C-stroke motion. Notice how I'm using or utilizing the corner of the blade. And also guys, open to close method is very important when blending any sort of fade or taper. This will speed up all your guys' cuts. In this industry, time is money. In the beginning, it might be a little weird, or you might have a little discomfort. You might not be used to that method, but as time goes, as you get more repetitions, open to close method will become easier and easier.
It's another witty piece.
Now we're going to grab our 1 guard, and again, open to close lever method. And we're going to continue to blend from the top to the bottom. By blending from the top to the bottom, what I mean by that is your prior step is always going to be above your next one. So as you guys go open and close, and you gradually go down, into the bottom of the blend, you want to slowly close the lever, and you want to make sure you don't go quite as high as the prior step. If you go high or higher into the previous step, what that is going to do is create another guideline that you do not want. This will then create a lot more work, and it's very unnecessary. So make sure to blend right under the prior guideline when you go open to close lever, and when you blend from the top to the bottom. Following that, we're going to use our half guard. This is where you start to see the blend come to life. This is how you create blurry blend. So this is essentially going to bring the top of the blend in with the bottom of the blend. So by now you can start to see the blend come to life once again. Utilizing the corners of the blades, see how I alter the position of the clipper going against the grain in the natural hair pattern. And again, utilizing the open to close method. So here I show you guys open to close. So there's open, there's close. So when you do open and close method, you don't always go fully open to fully close. I like to do 1 to 2 steps in between, depending on how stretched out the blend actually is. In some cases, when you do a low fade, you don't necessarily need to use every single lever close. You can actually just get away with open and close because the stretch of the fade is much smaller. In this scenario, we're doing a classic, nicely stretched skin fade or bald fade. So when you do open and close method, you close the lever 2 to 3 times. And as you guys can see, the blend is starting to come out. You can see that last little bit of guideline, and open and close method should take it right out. Sometimes people have trouble taking that last bit of guideline out. If you guys noticed in the very beginning when I set my first guideline, not only did I set the guideline, I kind of went down with the trimmer. What this is going to do is create contrast between the skin to the actual fade. It's going to show you a little bit of room in which you can then decipher how much you need to blend. Also, by zero gapping your actual clipper, this will get it as close to skin as possible.
It's another way to be.
Now we're going to focus on the edge up. I always like to start on the side. People always ask how to get that white ash line or that white line. I simply dip my trimmer in talcum powder, and there, as you can see, it leaves a white line. What this does is it makes your overall edge up pop way more, and you can see exactly where your line is and what you're doing. So here you see me going down against the grain, or with the grain rather, sorry. And what I'm doing is I'm just simply creating a little more contrast. This is going to allow me to decipher or pinpoint any little spots that I need to touch up or detail within the fade. And sometimes you don't need to touch up the fade. If you followed your proper steps, you took your time, you set nice clean guidelines, and sometimes you don't need to go back and detail your fade. Now we're going to go and move towards the front edge up. I always start in the front and then I move to the left or the right. The reason I do this is because the front always has the most hair, especially in males. A lot of males go through male pattern baldness, which means the corners tend to go as you age. So by starting in the middle, you can see where your line needs to be following your line in the middle. Yes, you can push back the line a little bit to make it nice and sharp, but it's important always to keep it as natural as possible.
Another way to be.
I know we got a lot of color enhancement haters, but I like to add anything you can add to your work to make it pop. More than likely, you want to do it. This is not only enhancing your service and your work, this is going to make your overall work pop. As soon as someone walks out the barbershop, think of them as a walking billboard. So if you can do something that's going to make your haircut pop, why not do it? It's advertisement, which means more talk about your work, which means or ultimately leads to more money in your pocket.
It's another way to be.
Some people like the natural look. I simply like enhanced work. Now, it's very important to discuss with your client whether they like it or not, because some people don't and some people do, and at the end of the day, the client is always right.
It's another way to be.
And there you guys have it. A nice, clean, classic skin fade with a 3 on top. Shout out to my brother for being a model. He probably doesn't want me to share this, but he just got out of rehab, and it's good to see him back on his feet, nice and healthy. And it's always good chopping it up with him. It's always good cutting his hair. So there you have it, guys. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Holla at your boy. Catch me on the next one. Peace and blessings.